Hi guys, Mindstone here, and today I will be giving you my thoughts about the new Whispers of the Old Gods cards. So we're going to be starting off with Beacon of Evil, and this card is, well, I think it's okay. The stat line's fine for 2-drop and above Season. So this is obviously not going to be in a deck that doesn't play Season, but it'll be in, well, pretty much any deck that plays Season, I believe, because it's just a nice and stable 2-drop. So yeah, I think that's fairly okay. Not bad at least. Um, Next card up is the Corrupted Healbot. The Corrupted Healbot is pretty much, well, the stat line's good for a 5-drop, right? But the death rattle is horrible. And yes, there's Yokane Soul Priest. It's a fun thing you can do. But no. Because Sabi Chow is not going to be in standard, so you can't build your deck around it, which means this card won't really be that good. And you're not looking to kill your 6/6 minion to get 8 damage into the enemy face. If it had been always 8 damage to the face, it'd be good, but it's way too conditional, and it might as well just destroy your game, because it heals your opponent for 8. So I probably would not play this in anything. I don't think it's good. Next up is Sethan himself. I think Sethan is, well, it's kind of hard to evaluate him if you don't know all the cultists, but he is actually quite solid, I believe. It's a card that you build your deck around, and if you make it work, it'll be very good. If you don't make it work, then obviously it's not good. But with a good support, with a good amount of supportive cards, this card is going to be fairly good. So yeah, and I think I've seen him grow pretty big, so I think he has a lot of potential, and I'm looking really forward to seeing this card in play. Next card up is Polluted Hoarder. This is just Polluted Hoarder times 2, except you don't draw 2 cards. If he had been drawing you 2 cards, this card would be amazing. But right now he's just, yeah, if you want more card draw, I guess you can put him in the deck, but I probably wouldn't pick him up. I think he's a bit too fragile for the full mana, and if you just want rotation, you can just pick up Loot Hoarder. Yeah. Next card, Twilight Elder. This is again a Sethan card, and I think he is okay because he's going to be at least giving the Sethan a 1/1 buff, and he's a 3/4 for 3, which is fine. But this is probably one of the cards you'd be cutting if you don't have enough space in your deck, because he's not amazing. Well, he's not doing anything instantly, really. Yeah, so if you're going to be having Sethan on the board and buffing it, this is pretty bad for it. And yeah. Overall, I think this card's okay, but it's fairly less good than the Beckoner. Then we've got Validated Doomsayer. This guy sucks. He just sucks. He's got 0 attack at the start. So, when you play him, you pass your turn to your opponent. The opponent starts butchering him without him hitting back. That's not good. And, if he is hit to 7, he'll be blown up by Big Game Hunter. Obviously he won't do that anymore because Big Game Hunter won't see all that much play anymore because of the nerf. But he's just bad, I'd say. It's not really worth the 5 mana for the 7/7 stat line because he's delayed. He's probably gonna die all the time when you play him, so I probably wouldn't play that. Next card, Hogger Doom of Elven. This guy actually seems fairly solid. A 6/6 to 7 is not good, right? But he can still summon a lot of nulls with Taunt, so he'll be very annoying. I think he has a solid enough stat line and a good enough effect for actually seeing quite a lot of play. So I could see this guy as some finishing thing in maybe Sue now instead of Dr. Boom, because he plays a lot of tokens, and he's still having a fairly solid stat line in himself. It could be fun seeing it in Rage Warrior, but I don't think that's going to happen because you're not going to be whirlwinding when you have nulls on the board. Then you've got to be playing like Blood Warriors and stuff, and we'll get to that later when we review the Warrior cards. Well, next card up is Eater of Secrets. This is basically the counter for Freeze Mage and Secret Paladin. Those decks are no longer going to be the top tier because this card destroys them and gets huge as hell. It's worth it if you kill 1 secret. Then this is a really good card. If you kill 2, 3, 4, 5 secrets, this card just goes amazing. Like, This card is absolutely dumb, and he's Keyset Mystic times a million, really. So yeah, this is going to be absolutely insane, and I would be very surprised if it doesn't see play. If it doesn't see play, it's because Secret Paladin and Freeze Mage and Hunter just died out of nowhere. So leaves it makes Secrets quite a lot weaker, and if anybody ever considers playing Secrets again, this one will be in their way. Yeah. Well, next up is Season's Chosen. I think he's fairly okay. You get an alright stat line, and you get the buff for Season. I think you might just play one of those. Not, I don't know if you'll be playing two of them because he's more like a mid-range creature, and you're not really that happy about him in control. But he's okay. He's like a pretty solid one. He's gonna kill something. So yeah, I think he's fine. He's not bad at least. Much like the cultist, not much like the Beckoner. Excuse me. But I think he might be slightly worse because he's got a bit more cost onto him, and he has he's got the same effect upon season. Well, then we've got the Infested Tauren. This is like Sentient Shieldmaster minus 2/2, and then you get the Death Rattle instead. The only place where I see this is viable is if you're playing a Nossoth deck, because Sentient Shieldmaster won't get resurrected by Nossoth as well. So I could see it happening, but I don't think really. I don't think it's a good card. It's a bit too weak. It's just gonna die to anything on 4, and the slime will then trade with a 4-drop that killed it, and potentially kill that 4-drop. So I think it might be just an average 4-drop, but if it brawls with a Yeti, Yeti will kill this without dying. And it's, yeah, if the slime has taunt, I don't know. I think it doesn't actually, so it's not really an efficient wall. I probably just wouldn't play it. I don't think it's good. Tentacle of Nossoth. Okay, we're gonna see Enraged Warrior. We're definitely gonna see Enraged Warrior playing this because it's kind of cool, right? It's like there's 1 damage to everything. We like that when we're playing Enraged Warrior. So yeah, it might see some play, but I don't know. It's a bit weak for the 1 mana, but obviously you won't play it on 1. You're just gonna be playing it and then killing it somehow. So it might see a bit of play for enrages, but not for much other things. I think the damage is too weak for Bulkless. Faceless Shambler is something I'd say is interesting. It's very vulnerable to silence, so I think it might have a bit of trouble there. But yeah, it's 4 mana, and you're obviously not playing this on 4 because you don't want to copy something that you played the previous turn. And you won't get a proper stat line. You're going to be playing this late game or something with something else big. But you can't copy the enemy minions, so it's sadly not a way to get back, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I think it's an average card, but it probably won't see that much play because there's just so many better options out there. Then we've got Nossoth the Corruptor. This guy is pretty cool. I would imagine playing a mid-range deck with a lot of Death Rattle minions, just like 10 or something, and just putting this guy in, and then you've got your late game. So Death Rattle Hunter, it might be a thing, but we're going to look upon that at Hunter, I guess, because that's more relevant. But I think this guy could actually see quite a lot of play because he's got a very, very solid stat line and a really good battle cry. If Belcher still existed, this guy would be insane. Because, well, you would have Belcher and you could just resurrect a taunt and you could actually do something when you played this guy instead of just playing a lot of minions. So that would be really good. But, well, it's still really good. Anyway. Next card, Spawn of Nossoth. This guy looks alright. He could be good in Sue, I guess. But the stat line's a bit too weak and it's almost too easy to kill the other minions and then just kill this. So I don't know if he's going to see play. I'm kind of doubtful because I think there's better 3-drops out there, and you're not really looking to play him on curve anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's that good. It's okay, but it might not. I don't think it's going to really see play. Now we've got the Boggy Monster. Whenever this attacks and kills a minion, so it has to attack itself. So it can't grow more than 2/2 every turn. I think it's a bit too prone to being assassinated or something. It's got the stats of a Balefist Ogre, but it can grow. I think it might not be good actually, just because if it faces Divine Shields or anything, it's not going to be that great. And with this minion, you kind of want to be going face because you want to kill the enemy, but it wants to be killing minions, and I think that's not very good. It's like the Gorobashi, that you want to be doing a lot of damage to the face, but you want to be killing minions. And I don't think you've got time for letting this stick out for like some turns to grow and then going face with it. You're going to be needing a more instant impact of it. So I think it's simply too slow, and you're not going to see it seeing play at all. Then we've got Mukla, Tyrant of the Veil. He gives you bananas. I think his card might just see play in Tempo Mage actually, because you're getting bananas, and you want bananas because they're spells. So I could really imagine him being played as some of the late game in Tempo Mage. But he's not a good card in all general sense. But I think he's actually alright, and he's going to see play somewhere, definitely, because he's not bad. It's a very solid stat line if he gives you 2 cards. Then we've got Cold Apothecary. This guy seems really OP, because he's 5 mana 4/4. Not very good, right? But the battle card just seems absolutely insane. You're gonna have like at max 14 health, right? But that's just dumb. If you have Bran out while playing this, you're just gonna heal for a crap ton. I think it's mainly gonna see play in Reno decks, because these decks will be alright about letting the opponent have a lot of board. Control deck might kill too much of the enemy board to make it actually happen. But I think it's going to be quite good in Reno Warlock, if that still exists after the expansion, which I believe it will. But yeah, so yeah, fairly good card, and it probably will see play. I think it's a actually quite powerful effect. And we've got Scarlet Nightmare. This card is interesting, definitely. Because that the stealth guy Rook has, the Master of Disguise, was nerfed, this card is no longer going to go absolutely crazy. But you might just play it in a Dragon and Priest or something, and just play it as a 2/8 and be like, hey, it's going to grow. And it'll keep growing and growing and growing, and at some point you just have this crazy thing that just kills your opponent. So it might be alright, but it's not an amazing card. The main thing about it is that it's a dragon, so you can play it in dragon decks. But it doesn't make it, it can't justify it being played just because it's itself. Yeah. Next card up is Scarum Cultist. This card's just bad. It's like, we had Beacon of Evil, that was a good card. Then we had Seasoned Chosen, that was a fairly okay card. I've got Scarum Cultist, this is just bad. And the reason it goes like this is because that the more cheaply you get this effect with give you Season +2/+2, the better the effect is. Here you're paying quite a damn ton to get that effect. Because the stat line is alright for 6-drop. That's what you get usually. Even though you don't want 7/6, it's not that good of a stat line. That's what you should expect to get for 6 mana. But you're getting the effect on top of that. It looks like it's the same as Beckoner, but the problem is that you'd rather be playing something small than playing something big usually. So I think this is not going to see play. I think it's too bad for that. You might see it in like complete season decks that are just going crazy with season buffs, but except for that, you're not going to see it because it's honestly not that strong. Then we've got Yashara Rage Unbound. This card seems really dumb if you're playing control, because you're going to be like playing this and just pulling Ysera out of your deck or something, and stuff just goes crazy from that point on. So I think this card might just be really good. Especially the thing that's amazing about it is that it's not a battle cry or anything, it's a consistent effect. So you're going to get it the first turn you play this, and you're going to get it every turn after that. You don't expect this to survive more than 1 turn, but you can actually pull this out of your deck using a lot of fun things. Like, well, Deathlord doesn't exist anymore, but that could have happened. A Llama Bot can happen, even though that's probably not going to work out. You can use Ancestral Calls all if you're Shaman, but that's not in Standard anymore either, I know. But there's a bit of funny ways you can fizzle around with this and maybe get it to work. And it's just got a very powerful effect, so I'd be surprised if this does not see play in some control decks. Then we've got Ancient Harbinger. This guy looks alright, but sadly he might just die when you play him. If you think he's safe to play, you can play him and you can fish a specific 10 mana cost card from your deck into your hand. But I believe he won't see all that much play because he's a bit too easy to kill. Well, so his effect won't go through. If it had been in the end of in your turn, it'd be a lot better. But sadly, this is in your start of your turn, so you can't just fish your season out of your deck if you want to. You'll have to make him survive. But yeah, I think he's gonna be okay. It's not bad really, but I don't think he's amazing either. Then we've got Blood of the Ancient One. I almost don't want to talk about this because it's garbage. So yeah. First of all, you don't want to play 9/9 for 9. Second, you don't want the Ancient One. And third, you're not ever going to have the Ancient One. So you're just playing 9/9 for 9. Which is bad. So we don't even want to talk about this card, it's just bad. Then we've got Yashar and Hope's End. This guy is like super RNG mode. But I believe he's good. When the expansion launches, I'm going to be making some Tempo Mage with this guy, and we're just going to be throwing away like 40 spells, something dumb, because of Cabalist's Tomb. So I think he's going to be really cool, and I really look forward to seeing this guy in play. And I think he's actually going to be good, because he gets a lot of spells done. And often he's going to kill himself, he's going to damage both players, heal both players, play something, draw you to fatigue or something dumb, but at least this is like a Deathwing. If you play him, a lot of things happen, and you should expect Twisting Nether as one of them, and you should expect to draw cards as one of them. So I think he might just be an improved Deathwing. Yeah. Something I can't pronounce, the Slitherer. Well, this guy seems really good actually, because you play him on 9, and he's 9 health that your opponent has to go through. They cannot bypass it except if they have silence. And because of the nerfs to silence, this guy begins to seem really OP to me, because he's just a big fat taunt, and he's a 5/9, which is actually fairly big. So if nothing else, this card will see play as a late game card, because he's unable to be killed by stuff like Shadow at Death and Assassinate. Nobody plays Assassinate, I know that, but it's just theoretically. But I think he might be very good unless Seathan meta begins, because if in that case he's going to be suffering to the blade of Seathan, which is a card Rook has. At 4 mana we've got the Twilight Summoner now. This guy seems okay, but he's going to be really punished if you silence him. He's going to be having a lot of trouble if there's an Orkney Shadow Priest in the enemy hand. But he honestly seems okay to me. It's just he has a strong death rattle. I can imagine playing him in an Assault deck and getting a 1/1 back, which you can summon the Faceless Destroy again. I think he's okay, but he's not amazing anyway. It's just, yeah, a pretty normal 4-drop that has a good effect. Yep, nothing else. Now we've got Deathwing Dragonlord. This guy is madness. Honestly, he is. Because if you get this one activated, you just drop your hand on the board, and that's good, right? You want that. But your dragons usually have battle cries that you want to have happening, except for your Sarah, obviously. But honestly, I think it's a good card. It's a really, really strong card, and you can't play this when you're behind. You have to note that. You cannot play it when you're behind, because you're just going to die. But you can play it if you're ahead or if you're even, and at that point, it probably will just seal the game. But you've got to be afraid of somebody killing it and then brawling or something, or entering the collision. Because then you're going to lose your entire board, and you're going to lose your hand as well, because it's just emptied your hand. So you've got to be slightly afraid when you're playing it. But yeah, I think it's honestly a pretty good card, because it will just, if you just make it play Sarah or something, that's good enough. You get all the value you wanted, because you got 2 really big dragons for 1 mana, for 1 dragon, 1 times 10 mana, right? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but I think it's a good card. And on a side note, I think it's horrible thematically made, because they could have just called it Altharian instead of Deathwing. Now they have 2 Deathwings. That's really dumb. Well, then we've got Shifter Zeus. Cerus. Yeah. Well, this card is amazingly cool. He'll just go crazy and become all kinds of weird stuff, and I think that's fine. I really like him because he's just a flexible card. I think you can see him in every single control or Reno deck because well, maybe not every single control deck, but every single Reno deck will have this guy because he just has the ability to act as any card, and that's really cool. He can be a 1/1 for one, but that's pretty bad. Often you're going to be just waiting for him to have the right cards for the right occasion, and there's a lot of like just cards that you just play because you have nothing else to play, and then he's just fine. So I think it's going to be a good card, honestly. Um, the seal is an 88. Um, yeah, it looks okay. I think you're playing in Sue potentially. If Sue loses some good cards, then this could fit in. But except for that, it's not amazing. It's just 1/1 for one. And if it well, you can't play it on turn 1 because it just gets pinged and you lose value. So you don't want to do that. It might be okay, but it's nothing extraordinary. Twisted Worgen. I don't know if you would play this. I think it dies a bit too easily because you're starting to become like board clears are becoming viable again. So this might not be good. I think you just play Worgen Infiltrator rather because it's only 1 damage less and it costs 1 less. So I think that's better. But it's not completely unviable because it is most of the time 3 damage guaranteed. Well, then we've got Twin Emperor Veclor. This guy seems amazing, and I think he's an auto include in every Season deck because he's a taunt. That's good. But so you can survive longer. You want to do that when you have Season, and he might just be really much value if your Season has above 10 attack, which he will have pretty much all the time. So I think Twin Emperor Veclor is really good. Then we've got Twilight Geomancer. This guy's okay. He's a 1/4 taunt. That's fine, right? He helps a bit against aggro decks, and he gives you Season taunt. Yeah, it's cool enough, but it's nothing insane. You might just play one of them in a deck where you're playing in Season, but you're not going to play more than that. Yeah. Then we've got Squirming Tentacle. This card just seems bad. It's like, this is Fierce Monkey with 1 less attack. Fierce Monkey's good. This is not. It's got too little attack, it's too punishable by a lot of things. You just probably wouldn't play it. Most 3 drops just kill it. So that's why you're not really looking at it as a viable card. So yeah, I don't think it's going to see play. So the Swarmer. There's a lot of classes where this won't even be having a potential to see play. In Rook, there's a potential, but it's still, you don't like conditional attacks. You want to be attacking when you can attack, and I don't see what this would replace in Rook, just because, well, Rook does not need a 3/5 for 3 that can only attack sometimes. Then we've got Psychotron. This card is, I don't know, he's a 3/4 for 5, and I think he's honestly okay, but I don't think so anyway, because you get, for 1 more mana, you can get Sunwalker for 1 and get a 1/1 additional on it, and that's a lot better because you don't get punished by Priest then with Shadowed Pain. Yeah, and I don't know, I have a feeling this card might not be all that good, but it could see play because it is a taunt. It has a fairly solid stat line and taunt and divine shield, which is alright. So maybe, I don't know, it's alright, but nothing extraordinary. Nerubian Prophet. This card seems absolutely broken. Just because you can have a 4/4 for 0 if you wait long enough. It's going to be in every Reno deck. It's going to be in some other decks, but definitely going to see play in Reno because it's free stats that you can just play, and you want it to be sitting in your hand, so that's really good. Nat the Darkfisher. This is horrible. You can get 2/4 from Vermrest Agent and Taunt without that risk. So I don't see why you would get to play Nat the Darkfisher ever. He's just, there's too much risk involved in it, I believe. Unless you're trying to mill your opponent, obviously. I could see this in Milrook. Then it's really funny. But Milrook just loses a lot of good cards. So I think Milrook might not be viable anymore. But yeah. It's fun. Maybe. Maybe one day. Midnight Drake. This card is meant to grow really, really big. If it had 5 health, it'd be good. Right now, it's not, I'd say. The idea is that you play it and it's really big. It's like the counterpart to Twilight Drake, but the problem about it is that it's honestly not very strong. Having a lot of attack won't really help you if you just get killed. So I don't really see it in anything. Maybe Reno decks, right? But I don't expect it. It's just Twilight Drake's better. Grotesque Dragonhawk. It is a 5/5 with Wind Fury for 7 mana. It's Wind Fury Harpy that costs 1 more and has 1 more attack, and it's a beast. Is that good? No, it's not. So I don't expect this to see play at all. Faceless Behemoth? No. Just I don't know if I have to explain to you guys, but 10/10 for 10 is not worth it. Evolve Kobold? Probably not. I think it's not viable really. You have Ancient Mage for getting those 2 spell damages. And yeah, it could be fun, some spell deck, but I don't expect it. I think that if you want spell damage, you're going Malygos or you're going Blood Mage Thalnos. In between that, it's often not good. Eldritch Horror. Oh, side note, you can have Azure Drake. That might just be better than this. Well, Eldritch Horror, this is bad as well. It's too much mana for vanilla stats that are fine, but not that good. Duskboard, this will die to Mage hero power, Druid hero power, or Rook hero power. It's bad. Doomcaller, this is really interesting. So, it's good stats, right? At least it's fine stats. And it buffs your Sheetan. And that's like, oh no, we don't want that. That's just like, let's go, Aram Cultist. But, if you use Seathon already, you're gonna get Seathon back into your deck. So this is like the hyper control card, where you're like, I used my Seathon. I'm playing against some other control guy. My Seathon's dead. I'm running out of cards. Oh, my Seathon's dead. I can just play this. I can get my Seathon back in my deck. And then you have another Seathon. I don't know if Seathon is gonna stay buffed. So if you buffed Seathon a lot prior to his death, if he dies, if it's still having those buffs, or if it starts off as a 6/6 again. But if it doesn't start off as a 6/6, it's really good. If it does start off as a 6/6, it's alright. That it's still viable. I think the card's really good, but it's not all that amazing. It's really amazing if it starts off better than that. Disciple of Seathon. Deal 2 damage for a 3 mana card. That's fairly good. It's really high tempo. You gotta compare it to SI Agent, which you're playing on 3 or something, and you just get those 2 damage and you kill something with it. So that's really good. Because aggro might just see less play this expansion. I don't know how good he will be, but he buffs your Seathon, so he's fine, I'd say. I think he's gonna see a lot of play. It's a really strong card. The 2 damage matters quite a lot. And the stat line is not very important. It's just the buff to Seathon and the 2 damage are important. Then we've got Dark Speaker. Dark Speaker seems fairly bad. 3/6 4/5 is pretty bad. If you're swapping stats with a friendly minion, I can see him at 1 point, and that's if you're having Argent Squire on the board. Then it's fun, because you just get to make a 3/6 Argent Squire. But okay, I can see him in one other place. If you play Priest and you use Shadow Madness or something, and you swap the stats, that's alright as well. But you're not going to be taking something very big with Shadow Madness, so it's not that good. I don't expect this card to be very good at all, really. It might be fun, but I don't think it's going to see a lot of play. I've got Cyclopedian Horror. This card just seems really good. It's Sentient Shieldmaster if your opponent has 2 minions. If he has 2 minions, so 7 or 6 minions or something, this goes insane. And if it brands a thing, it's gonna go even more insane. And so, yeah, I think it's quite good actually. And it will definitely see some play, but probably mostly in Reno decks, because it's not something you just play in aggressive decks or mid-range decks. It's something you're playing in defensive decks, because it's definitely a defensive tool. I've got Crazed Worshipper. This guy is just a pretty strong taunt. Alright stats, a bit overcosted for the stats, but he buffs the Seathon, so it might be okay. Yeah, then we've got the Corrupted Seer. That's just 2 damage everything that's not Murloc. I don't know if you'd actually play this in a Murloc deck, but it could be fun. I don't think there's any Murlocs that will be hit by the standard art, so nothing goes into wild except for old Murgai. So he might just be viable in some shaman deck, I believe, but I don't know. He seems a bit overcosted to me though. Bog Creeper, it's big fat taunt. It might be alright. Ain't that much to say about it. It's going to be a bit too vulnerable to things such as to hard removal. We've got Blackwater Pirate. You haven't cost 2 less. I think this card is pretty good actually, because you're going to be playing it and you're going to be playing a weapon. And that essentially means that you played this for 2 mana, and you get a 2/5 for 2 mana. That's fairly good. But it's alright, and the main thing that's good about it, it's a pirate. It's not like, wow, amazing card in itself. It's just a pirate. That's the main thing. But yeah, I think that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review, and yeah, I will see you